Hiya, my name's Dan and I'm a tax senior at MHA McIntyre Hudson, Northampton. Quite hard coming in straight from school to begin with, because I always thought the school did very little to prepare me for a working environment, especially an office environment. So it took a bit of time to settle in. However, the members of the team were very welcoming, and that helped a lot. And what I suppose the main thing was that going into MHA, I was part of an intake. So there were 6 of us who had come from university and school, who all went in at the same time, and who were able to kind of lean on each other and all going through the same experiences. So that definitely helped to alleviate some of the pressure and the stress of joining. But yeah, mainly everyone was very welcoming. I always thought the hardest thing about coming from school straight into a job was the longer working hours. So you'd all of a sudden you get to 3 o'clock and you think, oh, I'll be going home now, and your day's only just started. So that was quite difficult, but you quickly adjust to that, and yeah. In the Northampton office, we aren't split between corporation and personal tax, which you tend to see in a lot of other workplaces. This means we get a really good exposure to all types of tax and work on a bit of everything, which is great because you aren't continually doing the same tasks over and over again. We also see quite a lot of advisory work in the Northampton office, which is amazing for our development and moving on from compliance work, which tends to be quite kind of samey and simplistic to a degree. So that allows us, to kind of practice some of the more detailed aspects of tax that you don't always see in compliance work. When I first joined the firm, the general gist of what you were doing was picking up work on other members of the team's lines, and helping to release their workloads, so that they can turn their attention to other bits. After about 6 months or so, I was handed a small portfolio of personal tax clients, which really helped to develop my portfolio management skills and really get me set up to expand that portfolio as I got more experience. That was overseen by a more senior member of staff, who kind of helped us through that. So that was great, and really did a lot to speed track my progress, I suppose. As I got more experience, took on responsibility, that portfolio grew, and eventually included corporation tax clients as well. Corporation tax and personal tax have varying deadlines and tax payment dates, etc. So it was important to be able to differentiate between them and make sure that I was planning ahead, to make sure that everything went through. And then that kind of as I kind of got 2-3 years into the job, we'd have new intakes coming in. And I kind of take on a bit of responsibility of helping to develop their skills, and helping to better their progress as well. When I first joined the firm, I remember one of the things that we were told by the recruitment guys is that we would need to do kind of an equivalent of 2 hours of kind of our own revision after work every day to keep up with exams, which was certainly a bit of an overcompensation for ATT, and much more applicable kind of for CTA, which is what I'm doing now. But yeah, I always felt that my development journey was quite relaxed to a degree, in that you were given time to progress, and help was available whenever it was required. The more experienced members of staff in the tax department were always on hand to answer queries, and to help you with your professional progress, which was great. study work-life balance can get a little bit blurred, I suppose, when the TACT exams come around. So the way TACT exams work is we have 2 sittings every year, so we have a bit of kind of a crunch in the couple of months prior to an exam to get all the information in and retain all that information. But generally speaking, it's quite a healthy balance, and it's great. Was it what I expected? I don't really know what I did expect coming into this line of work. To be honest, it's I wouldn't go back. So I suppose that's a good sign. So yeah. So the support network in the Northampton office is really strong, and there's a very good mix of kind of younger members of staff, junior members of staff, and more experienced senior members of staff. That really kind of helps to create a good office environment, but also an effective one, in that you're constantly learning and picking things up. And I think that's really the key to succeeding and enjoying what you do in any line of work. So I think it's really important that you're able to learn things from different sources and then take the best bits and apply it to your own work. And we have some really great characters around the office. So there's never a day where you can't find someone for a chat or for a joke. So I think that's the most important thing. I think the firm's recruitment policy is really good. So they help maintain that balance between inexperience and experience, and it rubs off because there's a really great office environment. Remote working was not difficult at first, but it was just very different. When it kind of first got announced that we wouldn't be going back into the office, working from home felt quite exciting, because it was different, and we'd have regular catch-ups with the team, whether it be work-related stuff or for a proper catch-up, and having a chat. We had a new IT system put in, so that we could video call each other, and we were always at the touch of a button away. So as much as we weren't there in person, we were always we were always together. We were never segregated or kept apart. Eventually the working from home novelty kind of ran off, and it did become a little bit painstaking, and we all wanted to get back into the office and kind of get that great office environment back. But we were all ensuring that we took the initiative to check up on each other, to call each other whenever possible. So even little things which could be done over an email, we'd just drop each other a call, because it keeps us talking, and keeps us in contact with each other. I would say that my favourite event organised by MHA would be the five-a-side football tournament that we all went down to London for last summer. It was it was really good. You had a team from every office, and obviously it was right down my street because I love football. There have been a few other bits put on kind of locally in Northampton. So we tend to have our kind of Christmas drinks, which is always great fun, and kind of a spring ball as well. Hasn't happened recently, but I'm really looking forward to getting back on that, and having that again. I know I've been a little bit unfortunate in a couple of the other bits that the social committee have organised. I've been preoccupied for. So I know they organised to go bowling and and had some drinks. while they were doing that, and throughout lockdown we were doing like quizzes over Zoom, just to keep people talking, keep people engaged, and yeah, I have no gripes about our social committee whatsoever, so they can't be doing too bad a job. I would say that with any kind of professional services line of work, the actual work that you're doing on a day-to-day basis is not always going to be kind of edge of your seat stuff. It's not always going to be the most exciting stuff to actually do. So I'd always say, it's really important that you find a workplace that has great people, people who you're going to love to go into work with. You're going to get up in the morning, you're going to think, you get to see these people, you get to spend a day with these people, and that drags you into the office because nobody's riveted by the thought of preparing tax returns 9 till 5. So it's important that you can have those conversations and have that environment that you're pleased to be a part of, and that you look forward to going into every day. The trainee recruitment process at MHA started with an assessment centre. So once I'd applied for the role and kind of heard back, I went into the Milton Keynes office and essentially had like a workshop day with the recruitment guys. And I suppose this helped them to kind of analyse our numerical skills and our presentational skills and other abilities, to kind of feel out whether we'd be a good fit for the role that we were going into. That was very kind of informal. It wasn't like an interview kind of scenario. It was very much come along, show us what you're made of, and then we'll go from there. So after the assessment centre, I was offered an interview. So I put my suit on and drove up to Northampton office. I mean, again, even though it was an interview, it was quite a kind of informal setting. I had a chat with Rachel, our tax partner, regarding what I was going to be doing in my role, and how I thought I was going to fit it. So there are various things that are important for a tax role, and I suppose it was just making sure that I got that across. It seemed the recruitment process seemed quite seamless. In my experience, it can be. It's not always like that. MHA were very good at kind of keeping me up to date with kind of where they were in the process, and I know I had a couple of other ones where it took weeks for them to get back, and at the end of the day, that's why I ended up choosing MHA, because they seemed like they were generally interested in having me at the firm. Yeah, so I mean, one of the things that coming from sixth form into a work environment, I decided that I wanted to give accountancy a crack, and tax was the route that I took in that industry. But the one thing that I wasn't quite sure about was exactly what I'd be doing on a day-to-day basis. What would I be doing for 7.5 hours a day in the office, and and I think that's the one thing really, is just kind of making sure you know what you're getting yourself in for. So yeah, I know before I after I'd kind of been through the interview process, I'd been given the contact details for a member of the tax department to send queries onto. So I got to know someone before I joined, which was great. So yeah, I think the only thing I'd say is just kind of knowing that kind of day-to-day workload, and going from there.